You may have noticed that a lot of e-commerce websites today look the same. They all seem to have similar formats and look as if they've been designed by the same person. In fact, a recent Gartner report found that 46% of consumers can't tell one brand's digital experience from another. So, this implies that an investment in the creation of an e-commerce experience may not always produce the results you are aiming for. I'm Jane Irwin, Senior Content Manager at SQLI, and I'm happy to welcome you to SQLI's podcast channel, Digital Chats. This is Exploring Digital Worlds, a series of podcasts focusing on expert insights into what's happening in the digital sector. Today, I'd like to welcome our Principal UX Consultant for the Netherlands, Marinus Ames, to the show. And we're going to talk about how to make your e-commerce website stand out. Marinus has more than 15 years' experience designing online customer experiences. He can't shake off his economics background, so he keeps looking at design through a business lens, which makes for lively discussions with more creative-minded designers. Welcome to the show, Marinus.
Hey, thanks, Jane. And with so much seniority available today, it must surely become a great show.
Okay, Marinus, well then let's dive in. My first question is for you. Do you think it's wrong for an e-commerce website to look the same as all the others?
No, on one hand, it's very sensible to make sure that the core features, if you're talking about, for instance, e-commerce, that your checkout, that the core features are designed in a way that your customers expect. I think that's very sensible, because then you don't surprise your visitors and you offer them something that they're used to from other competitors. Um, yeah, there's even a principle defined around that was intensively researched, and it's called the polar principle.
The polar principle. What is the polar principle?
Yes, there's been a lot of research on the field of psychology and e-commerce the last decades, and polar is the principle of the least astonishment. So, for example, like I said before with the e-commerce example, it's wise to make sure that your checkout behaves in a way that your visitors expect. Like they get various payment options and they get a confirmation email at the end.
So, Marinus, if all things tend to look the same, why do people still not make a choice?
Yeah, that's the other side of what we're talking about now. So at one side, it makes sense that your core features are, like adhering to best practices, but at the other side, you wanna make sure that you're differentiated from your competitors when you're running an e-commerce shop, and that's one of the things that is not really it's not really happening now. um, what happens is that if people look at websites and they want to buy something, and it all looks the same, they're just gonna give up because they can't make a choice. That's what's gonna happen.
Okay, so then let's talk about differentiation not happening.
If we refer back to the Gartner, the marketing research, then from this research that Gartner did, it appeared that more than half of the customers of e-commerce websites answered that the digital experience they just had just doesn't impact their purchase decision. So that means that a lot of effort and time and money went into creating a digital e-commerce experience, and no change in behavior of the customers is happening. And yeah, this is just bad business.
You mentioned no change in behavior. What do you mean by change the behavior, Marinus?
That the whole reason that we're all busy with experience design is that the whole reason is that we want to change the behavior of visitors. So I'm referring to stuff that a visitor comes to your site and they actually click buttons and they read your blog post and they convert from visitor to customer, stuff like that. That's why we create all those nice digital experiences.
Okay, but if that doesn't happen, then what can we expect?
Now, if that doesn't happen because your customers are affected by choice paralysis, okay, they just can't make a decision because it all looks a little bit the same, um, then ultimately that means that your investment in a digital experience just doesn't pay off. So that's what I mean by bad business. So a simple example of this would be that if I want to buy a book, I could go to any e-commerce website that offers the book, um, and look at the same product on different websites and not being able to make the choice because all the websites offer the same digital experience. And of course there's examples like Amazon where, for example, their website looks horrible from a design point of view, but they have features like one click buying, which is easy if I just want to buy a $10 or a €10 book. So they're sticking out, they're doing something different. So that's what you're aiming for, doing something different.
I get it. I get it. So standing out. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty of it, Marinus. Why are so many e-commerce brands finding it hard to stand out?
um, I think there's three main reasons for that. One is that e-commerce teams strive towards best practices. Okay, you
Hmm.
have a digital experience problem with your that you need to solve. You look to how others and often competitors solve that. You go to some sites and you find best practices of how something can be solved. The next reason why why they all tend to look a little bit the same is that a lot of e-commerce sites are built on monolithic technologies. So you got those big e-commerce platforms that help you set up your e-shop real quickly, and but they tend to work with templates. So every product detail page works with the same template. So everybody that uses the same platform, you kind of get to recognize the e-commerce platform that it runs on.
Okay.
And the
Okay.
third, and I think this is the most important factor, Jane, is often there's a lack of strategy around customer experience.
Okay. So customer experience. And what do you think of the first thing a brand should look at if they want to create a great customer experience?
Okay, so um, let's say if we look at lower hanging fruit, then the simplest thing, so we're not talking experience strategy now, just looking at what can you easily do. Okay, now is the quickest thing to stand out, to make yourself stand out, is to find just one single thing, one single feature that your customer experience is different than the others out there. So one thing that's authentic. And once you find it, that one thing, you blow it up. Okay, you make the feature very visible on your website, and you spread the news across all the social media and newsletters and all the other way you communicate with everybody. So I could give you an example if you want one.
Sure, that'd be great. Yeah.
Okay, so let's think about the books again. And let's say that there's this current bestseller, the book by Prince Harry. So
Okay.
if I'm in the market for buying a book like that, but what I as a user would really appreciate if I go to one of the retailers for books, I would really appreciate if they build a page around this new bestseller, the release of this new bestseller. So they would build a theme page where they list more bestsellers with juice around royals, with books about Princess Di or Sarah Ferguson or Henry VIII for all I care. But if I want to read more than just this new bestseller, then I would have some choice. So that's a very simple example that e-commerce, a book retailer could do. Some of them do them, most of them don't. That would not take that much time and would really give me some added value. And next time I'm gonna go back to this retailer because I know they do something extra than just push the product.
And I love the Henry VIII example. What a wonderful example. So that's great. Low hanging fruit as you talk about. But what
Yes.
about a long term plan, Marinus?
Yeah, in the long-term plan, you can't get away with things as an e-commerce team this easily. In the long term, if you want to differentiate yourself and your site, then of course you need a plan, and a plan is a strategy. And you just don't need a strategy for the business because probably that one is there. But I think a lot of brands lack in this department of creating a customer experience strategy specifically for that.
And what advice would you give to an e-commerce brand seeking to build a successful customer experience strategy?
Yeah, for stuff like this, this is really intangible. So this is not choosing an e-commerce platform based on criteria, that are really good defined. So this is a problem that is of a different magnitude. This is really a problem about how to market yourself. Management should initiate this and be the champions of it. And they need management in this case needs to invite a lot of stakeholders from inside the company and maybe from outside the company, sit down with their teams and collaborate about this customer experience strategy. And the first thing they should do, even before talking strategy, and that's why really it should come from management, is before you make the plan of how to roll out your experience, you should talk about your customer experience vision. Where do we want to go to with our customer experience 5 years in the future? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's why you really need management. And of course, you could say this is more easily done than said than done. But actually, this is quite doable because in the last decade, there's been so much advancement in the field of collaboration and innovation. With all those frameworks for workshops, etc. That yeah, there's a lot of frameworks that could be used to go about this. Sticking up post-its on the wall in a workshop. You probably have done it
Yes.
yourself.
We have all done it. We all know about the posters, Mariners, definitely. But what about the methodologies?
There's a lot of choice from methodologies that are really proven methods, for getting to something intangible as our customer experience vision and strategy. Yeah, long gone are the days of unguided brainstorms where everybody is shouting on top of their lungs through each other. And that was
Yes.
primarily the domain of top managers. And the highest ranking person in the room was probably the one getting their ideas across. No, now we have better methods to guide ideation in an effective and also an efficient way. And one good example of that, and a very well known example, is the Google Ventures Design Sprint method. There's been
Ah.
books around this and seminars and the works.
Do you have any actual tips for our listeners who would like to make their ideation workshops a success?
Yeah, we're here in Amsterdam, where I'm based.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, we've been doing those workshops from for design projects for years now, and I do have some tips that I know that work quite well. The first one is that you need to define what you want to get out of the workshops upfront. So don't go in it without first defining what you want to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing that really works well is that you should invite different roles from the organization, because then you benefit from multiple perspectives, and that makes your solutions, your strategy, your vision way better. um, the other one is to time box every step. Otherwise, you'll be there for a month, okay, locked up in this room, and still people would be happily discussing stuff. So really time box each step and make sure that you get to a result in a time that you agree upon beforehand. And and the last tip that I would have is to make sure that you define success metrics for the workshops. Okay, this is what we want to do, what we want to get out of this out of the workshop. You know, steps for the strategy, and maybe a well-defined product vision that's 90% clear, stuff like that, so that you're really working towards something.
Okay. Now we're moving on to the part of the podcast that I've been really looking forward to, Marinus.
Yeah.
Real life examples. Can you give me some examples of strategies that have enabled brands to differentiate themselves?
Yeah, sure, sure. And these will be like the big e-commerce giants, like we always use as an example. So I've already mentioned Amazon. So it's not that they're the only ones doing the good stuff or the best stuff or whatever. I'm mentioning those. We tend to mention those examples because everybody knows them, But there's
Sure.
many better even better examples out there for smaller e-commerce sites. But here we go with the well-known ones.
Mm-hmm.
So there's several areas that a brand could focus on to seek differentiation and standing out from others. One strategy is to try to bridge the gap between the in-store experience, which is often way better than online, because you got sales reps and so people standing in the shop to help customers. So one way strategy is to try to bridge the gap between the in-store experience and the online experience. And there's two brands that really tackle this quite nice. One is Sephora, probably known to you as well. I think they're
Yeah.
they're quite big in
Mm-hmm.
France.
They are big in
Um,
France, yeah.
yeah. Um, what they did was so their makeup brand, when you go to the shops you can try out the makeup, so they used augmented reality to make sure that you have the same experience at home, but then using your mobile, and you can virtually apply the makeup and try it out at home before you
Brilliant.
buy it
Okay.
online.
Okay.
And another example is IKEA. And
Mm-hmm.
IKEA lets you, and they've been doing this for years now, so they're already quite perfected it. You can put whatever piece of furniture, again with AR, augmented reality, and your mobile phone, you can put it in your room and see how that couch would look in your setting.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, yeah, that's a really good example. And do you think there's something else brands could be thinking about if they
Yeah,
want to stay one step ahead of the competition?
of course, this was one example of a strategy that you could follow. Another strategy is as a brand making sure that you share the same values or state of mind of your customers, and that also differentiates you from your competitors who are not that in tune with the values of their customers. So examples of those are, the one that I really like is Patagonia, and they sell the outdoor clothing. Been doing this, I think, since the 70s, something like this. But they're really into sustainability, and their customers are also really into sustainability. So how they use that online? Now they've launched a initiative where you can have your old Patagonia garments refurbished by them, mended, and then sent back to you. And you can do it. You can do the whole thing, initiate the whole thing online, and then send it to them and get it back, sent to your home. So that's really great.
Yeah,
Really great way
that's
of,
fantastic.
yeah,
Oh,
of
yeah.
connecting with what their customers really value. And another
Mm-hmm.
good example of this one is Lululemon. So yeah, the name makes me smile each time. And
Mm-hmm.
Lululemon is a bit more a brand that's a bit newer. They've really been making waves online. They're yoga inspired, healthy body style retailer of yoga pants. And what they do
Oh,
is
okay.
they own the healthy yoga mindset, you know. So yeah, they could connect again really well with their customers and not just selling yoga pants, you know.
Yes, I get it about sharing the same mindset as the customers. It's important. And I agree, Lululemon, sorry, is an amazing name.
Yeah,
Love
it's
it.
good, isn't it? Yeah.
Lululemon. Are there, do you think there are brands that have actually decided to go against conventional wisdom and provide radically different experiences?
Sure. Some of them have really turned the best practices around. So what we talked about at the beginning, you know, when I name dropped the Pola principle. So yeah, where I said it's best to sometimes it's best to follow best practices for the core stuff of your website, but there's some brands that even go against the grain with their core. So uh, and the best for me, the best example on this one would be Zappos. And Zappos is a shoe and clothes retailer, and they're more well known, Jane, in the States than in Europe.
Okay, okay.
But actually, they're huge as well, and they've been acquired like 10 years ago, I think, by Amazon. But
Mm-hmm.
Amazon let them be, you know, a separate brand because they were doing something really nice. What Zappos did was they really turned around how customer support normally is done by companies. Normally, customer support is considered a cost, you know, for the company. So that means that customer support is often try to minimize, you know, the cost of having customer support. But Seppo said, okay, customer support actually is something that is an asset for us. So we're not gonna make sure that we turn every penny on customer support, but instead of telling our customer support reps that they should make sure that each phone call they get from a customer is handled as quickly as possible. They could take as much time as they need to handle the customer request. And there's some really famous examples out there of a Zappos customer that called customer support and said, "Hey, I'm out here for business in a strange city, and it's evening, and I want to go out to have a meal, but I wouldn't know where to go, and I'm a little bit anxious, you know, to go out into a neighborhood that I don't know. So could you help me out?" And the customer rep from Zappos find out something nearby that was safe to walk to, and yeah, really.
Oh,
So you know,
really?
yeah, that's the way they operate. But they made a customer for life, you know, with that one, and they do other stuff really different than others. Most of the best practice is that your return policy, you know, is that you can return your stuff in the legal 14 to 30 days, and
Mm-hmm.
Zappos has a 365 days
Wow.
return policy. Yeah, and
Amazing.
it costs
Wow.
them money, but by doing it completely different, they really
Yeah.
have created a fan base of customers.
Oh, that's an amazing example. You just made me think of something else, because today there's a lot amount of talk about, there's a huge amount of talk about engagement. And I was just wondering, from your perspective, how do you think e-commerce brands can build engagement?
Of course, we talk about it all the time, but this is something that is really hard to do and often takes a lot of investment as well. But if you get it right, then you could revive your whole brand. That's, for example, what Lego did. So Lego did spend uh, a huge amount on creating a new platform for the community, their community, to get together and share ideas for new Lego models. Okay, so Lego created a platform and said to the community, "Go ahead, share your stuff with each other, and vote on it." So the community could share their ideas for Lego models with each other. They could vote on it. And then Lego said, not only will we provide you with this platform, but we'll also take the ones that are voted on the most, the winners, we'll take them into production. Yeah, this is great stuff, of course. And what they did was Lego normally is before Lego was struggling to keep selling Lego to children because children have so much alternatives nowadays. But with this, they really uncovered a new audience for them. All the adults really love this kind of stuff.
Oh,
So
wow. So, yeah,
yeah,
okay.
that's
Okay.
the top of being engaging with your customers, as far as I
So,
know.
yeah, it certainly is. And I guess it's all about, in this particular instance anyway, harnessing creativity. I guess that's what's behind it all.
Exactly. Yeah, they're building together with their customers. Yeah, co-creating new
Mm.
Lego models. I mean, how good can it get?
That's really good, really good. If you were to choose one brand, one single brand, with an exceptional custom experience vision that is also a business success, who would you choose, Marinus, and why?
The one that I used to point out as a really good example of where they had a good vision about the experience, but also a good product and a good strategy plan to put it all into action. That is Warby Parker. And Warby Parker is, you might know them. And for the people listening who don't know Warby Parker yet, it's a direct to consumer prescription glasses fashion brand. So that's a mouthful, but what they do is, they took out the middleman, so they're direct to consumer. It's prescription glasses, so where you normally had to go to have your eyes measured, etc. They're
Oh, wow,
moving into
yes.
that into the market really of the prescription glasses, and the fashion part of it is they also want to make the prescription glasses look good on you. So Warby Parker, they actually started out as the founders started out as students, and one of the backstory is that one of the founders supposedly was going on a backpacking trip, Jane,
Mm-hmm.
and then he lost his prescription glasses.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and
Okay,
because
right.
yeah, so he sat in the a whole semester in college, looking or university, looking at what was being written on the board, and he couldn't see it because he
Oh,
couldn't
no.
afford new
Okay.
prescription glasses as a student. So that was the inspiration for him to set up a brand himself, Warby Parker, with a couple of his fellow students, to make sure that they're putting out their affordable brand with fashionable look. Yeah.
Okay, I get it. But what was their actual vision and what strategy did they come up with?
Yeah, if you connect it back to what we mentioned before, that you need a vision and a strategy indeed, then their vision was that buying classes should be easy and fun. A lot of sites have this, that it should be easy and fun, of course. That's just good usability, but also that it should leave you looking good. So, and at the end, with some pocket left in your money. There were students,
You
so
mean money left in your
yeah,
pocket?
for some beers. So that was their vision.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
and um, and and the way they made a plan to reach this customer experience vision online, okay, because you can have the nicest vision, but you have to execute on it, and that's a lot of times the hard part. So they made a CX strategy, customer experience strategy, where they took the parts of the vision and they thought about, okay, how are we gonna fill this in with a digital experience plan? So the first thing, the easy and the fun part of their vision was they made sure that you could try your glasses at home for free. So you didn't have to go anywhere. You just
Oh,
picked 5 glasses. You
okay.
told them what kind of strength you needed, the plus and the minuses, etc.
Oh, the
And
prescription, yeah. Mm-hmm,
yeah,
mm-hmm.
and they send you a set of 5 glasses for free. You
Wow.
just kept the one that you liked the most, or none at
Okay.
all, and you could set the whole bunch back again for free.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next thing they did was, um, for the looking good part, they made sure that they hired fashion designers when they started designing those glasses. So, fashion first. That was
Mm-hmm.
also something that they did to make sure that they left their customers looking good. And the last thing, money in your pocket. Yeah, by cutting out the middleman and having very efficient production facilities, they can offer glasses, I think, like even below $100. I think something
Wow.
like 95. So that's
Okay.
quite, yeah, that's quite a good price for prescription glasses that look this good.
That's amazing. I mean, it's a perfect example of how a brand can actually stand out. So, listeners, get your post-it notes ready. It's time now
Mm.
to, I think, move on, Mariners, because we are coming to the end of the podcast. And I just like to take this opportunity to say I really enjoyed our discussion today. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. It was great to have you on the show. I learned a lot, and I hope our listeners learned a lot too.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot, Jane, for giving me a platform to spread the talk about something that I really think differentiating yourself from others is something that I really feel strongly about. So, yeah, thanks again for
You're
that.
very welcome. One last question before you go, Marinus. Where can our listeners find you?
They can easily reach out to me on LinkedIn, and you just look for Marina's Aims, and you will surely find me there.
Great. Well, thank you again for your time today, Marinus.
Thank you, Jane.